Ay, kaya pala, galing talaga pala sa vaccine, lang na-realize. Then they will start telling me stories. Kaya pala, nung simula ako nabakunahan, ganito na naramdaman ko. If I tell them, it's already established that by Dr. Peter Bacollo. He said it in a senatorial hearing recently. He said, patient presenting with cancer today and has a history of COVID vaccination, the likelihood it's coming from the factor that the vaccine has exerted is 79.2%. So I'll tell that to my patient. Ay, kaya pala, ganun sagot nila. Now we learn, galing talaga pala sa vaccine, lang na-realize. And then they accept it right away. Then they will start telling me stories. Kaya pala, nung simula ako nabakunahan, ganito na naramdaman ko. Nare-recall nila, kaya pala yung kapitbahay ko nung nabakunahan, naging ganyan. Yung relative ko, ganyan. So, ibig sabihin, talagang hindi aware mga tao. Nobody's speaking about
Hello mga bosses! Welcome to our episode, Buhay Boss, where we talk about lifestyle, health, personal growth, and relationships. Today, we are graced with one of our most famous doctors during the pandemic, Dr. Allan Landrito, to talk about medical freedom. Dr. Allan, welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning, Anne. I'm glad to be here, and it's a privilege for me to be heard in your program.
There are two types of doctors, no? Dr. Allan, yung integrative doctor saka yung conventional doctor. You are in the integrative doctor.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, and during the pandemic, you were serving as a
I was
doctor
in
sa
government,
municipal of...
I was one of the doctors in the City Health Department of Muntinlupa
City. And at that time, we were promoting early treatment protocols.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Let us go back to the history a little bit. And for our audience, I'm one of the co-founders of Concerned Doctors and Citizens of the Philippines. We established it around July, I think, of 2020. We gathered doctors, both integrative and traditional doctors. We have lawyers, we have private citizens, businessmen, gathered asking the question, ano nga ba yung nangyayari? Because everything was uncertain at that time. And it was founded because there were questions from the citizens and the doctors about medical freedom. Take us back to that time. What do you think Filipinos were hearing and what kind of information are we getting at that time?
You know, and I was in government practice at that time. So, of all the doctors, the ones in public service, in government service, you cannot take a leave. You know, you have to really face the patients. And my first observation then, after just the first few months, it seems if I put it in a one sentence, everything is going wrong. Many things are taking place are wrong. So I started questioning also and observing, bakit ganon, no? Like hospitals are filled. I'm also seeing the circle of the CDC page then. But these doctors are not being heard. So yes. I was questioning also those things. And the things that were being implemented, it's not jiving with what I know scientifically. I've been reviewing epidemiology, immunology, virology. Those basic subjects were to, this is the time to apply it. But it seems that basic principles are not really being applied.
Ang taas ng cancellation nun, ang taas ng censorship, and parang we are made to believe single narrative about the pandemic. And personally, I feel that questioning the pandemic, the protocols, the lockdown, the masking, the 6 feet social distancing, parang you cannot question those things and you will be judged as conspiracy theorist at that time. So what do you think?
Well, I was just getting myself busy reviewing all the fundamentals of what I learned in med school. Although I'm 34 years in practice already, so I have to review. Looking back on the basic principles, many things were not being applied. Immunology, virology, epidemiology, these are important areas that is urgently at call at that time. No? I went on my own, and then I look into what I've been doing. I've been practicing also, aside from my government service, on my private, and I've been doing orthomolecular medicine. So that's where you give high doses of vitamin C, or so-called the orthomolecules. Then I found the ivermectin also. I call it the orthomolecule or the right molecule. We want to be heard. And I found CDC page is not also getting heard. So I've been always getting myself attuned to what's taking place with CDCPH. So I sympathize with the same sentiments you were having at that time.
I remember that time, no, na-censor kami and we were prevented to hold a conference. There were media in that conference in Pasig and sabi ifa-fine daw kami ng IATF for holding that conference with the doctors and some business owners, ordinary citizens. And it was just a discussion. I remember Dr. Iggy Agbayani was nominated the president of CDCPH and he was very vocal but he was antagonized, he was bashed. Dami niyang na-receive na backlash from the other medical practitioners. Parang hating-hati yung narratives ng ibang mga doctors versus those doctors who were courageous enough were brave enough to question the system, the entire system. And take us back to that, what CDCPH was advocating at that time, the treatment, the prophylaxis, the informed consent, the medical autonomy, all of this comprise the medical freedom, tama. You were saying a while ago during our conversation outside yung 4 na klase na yon that we are entitled to.
Before we get into that, I heard that event in Pasig. I was actually supposed to be there.
Yes.
But some emergency came up, so I could not make myself to be present. And the outcome was it was held back. No, it was. I think they stopped it. No,
it wasn't stopped, Doc. But actually, it went viral right away. After a few hours, we had 1 million views right away after the social media post because. Unheard yun dati that you will be able to assemble more than 20 people and we have no mask because we were eating grapes and fruits at that time.
At a situation like a pandemic, there's got to be doctors conferencing, discussing, exchanging point of views and exchanging experiences. But this one was suppressed. To put it simply, they were suppressing these kinds of conferences. So I said, hindi lang pala, it's not only a medical issue here, there's politics here. So yun ang impression ko noon. So I was shocked also what happened.
Yeah. Going back to the 4 types of the medical freedom.
Yeah. I was mentioning to you, these are the 4 fundamental rights of patients. One is they have the right to choose their doctor. Secondly, they have the right to choose their own treatment. Thirdly, they have the right to refuse treatment. And fourth, they have the right for an informed consent. And all of these were being violated. I was saying, you will have to be forced to go into the hospital. You cannot choose your doctor. And then you cannot choose your treatment. You cannot refuse treatment. You're not even informed what they want to do with you. So all of these are violated.
So at what point did the scientific disagreement become something that could get a doctor canceled, censored? Naramdaman nyo rin ba yun na cancel kayo at the risk of your license, your reputation?
Oh, that was already when the information about ivermectin, the controversy was already at the height. Pero during the time, the early onset of the pandemic, 2020, so there was confusion as to what is the right protocol to do. So I have to look into my own protocols. If I just follow the government protocols, when I heard remdesivir, right away they were saying remdesivir. Immediately I look into the profile of remdesivir. It is toxic for the liver, for the kidneys, toxic for the lungs itself, will bring about the ARDS or the SARS or the severe acquired respiratory distress syndrome. So I said, what's the sense of using a medicine that will cause death to these people? And if you look into, they also use it in COVID of 2002, MERS-CoV of 2012. And it failed. Why use it now? I was asking.
So 2 things. Yung early treatment, or we call it prophylaxis at that time, CDCPH came out with the official protocol and we were distributing leaflets to people in provinces, in the metro. And it's with the vitamin C, high dose of vitamin C, vitamin D3. There's also
zinc, magnesium,
and magnesium.
selenium.
And at that time, hydroxychloroquine before even the ivermectin. But let's go to the ivermectin. It's a known drug. It's a natural occurring substance. And at that time, meron bang pharmaceutical company who's carrying that? And then, or nawala na ng patent? take us to that.
Ivermectin has already been known as a wonder drug, and it started the discovery. It's a natural drug which is a metabolite of a particular bacteria called Streptomyces ivermectinus. No? So they just have to culture that bacteria and then they harvest the ivermectin that it produces. There is one plague that has a scourge that has been plaguing more than 20 countries in Africa for more than 100 years. It's called river blindness disease. It's a particular parasite that is being carried on by a particular vector called black fly that thrives in the rivers. So villages in those endemic countries in Africa, these villages which live near the river, you know the rate, 1 out of 10 people are getting blind. And the hardest stricken areas, even it goes to 1 out of 2 people. And once they become blind, their lifespan also lessens, just 10 years. After they get blind, maximum they will live 10 years. So it's really a scourge. It's really a plague, and it's been there for 100 years. And none other than the WHO, the World Health Organization, decided to use the best antiparasitic they have, which is ivermectin, and distributed this from 1995 and came 2015, after 20 years, they declared it has been totally eradicated. So they recalled the discoverer, Dr. Satoshi Omura of Japan, and awarded him the Nobel Prize, along with Dr. Campbell, who was helping him in developing the research, in doing the research and developing the product. And so what made it a wonder drug? It has a profile of safety, no adverse effect at all, no toxic effect on the liver, on the kidneys, on any organs, on the bone marrow or the brain. We haven't found any adverse effect anywhere in the human body. It is even safe to give to pregnant women. There was even a study giving it even first trimester pregnant. And during the pandemic, I was also given it to a 5-month-old infant. It's so safe, it's so effective. Until we found out later, the study on on effects of ivermectin on viral infection dates back to 2012. Doesn't seem to be utilized now. Those research were just archived. Even studies on cancer application of this wonder drug were available then. So only to be uncovered during the pandemic. And when several doctors were using it in different countries, I saw this study. So I started using it and applying it here in the Philippines.
So you mean during the time that there was a plague on river blindness, it was given to these people, and the safety and the efficacy of this drug was really proven. And there were articles saying that this was given 1 billion doses all over the world, and the efficacy and safety was like 99 point something %. However, because nobody or no big pharma is taking it as a patented drug, there was no money to make out of it.
No, there was a patent on it, but it expired already, 2015.
I think that was Merck,
2015,
right?
yeah.
At the time, 2015. So fast forward the pandemic, when these doctors like you tried to revive the efficacy of that and give it to patients. However, it was sort of demonized and suppressed, and the black propaganda against it, saying, putting posters like it's an animal, it's a horse dewormer. So it creates a lot of uncertainty and doubts from people who would hear this again. Babalik tayo doon, Doc, sa bakit nga ba may ganong suppression? And even, I tried talking to some of my doctor friends who are not really integrative doctors, but really just the usual conventional doctors who'd follow the usual pharmaceutical protocols or the hospital protocols. Ano yung confusion natin doon? Ba't nagkaroon ng science versus consensus kind of narrative?
Oh, actually, it's not just confusion. It's really misinformation. Imagine you are informed, it's just an animal medicine. It's not true. It's a human medicine. It's toxic to the liver and the kidneys. Oh, come on. It's not. It's the remdesivir which is toxic. Sabi pa nga nila, it's toxic to the brain. It will cause brain damage. It's not. It is the remdesivir which has those kind of toxicities. No?
Ano palagay niyo doon? Yung remdesivir na talagang highly prescribed ng even the DOH was prescribing the remdesivir at that time. Kung merong ganyang toxicity effect sa katawan ng tao, bakit siya na-push?
Kaya nga, it's also my big question then. Bakit mo ipupush yun when marami namang available na safe? Even before the ivermectin, there was hydroxychloroquine, and the CDCP has been so vocal about it and has been advocating it, diba? So I was wondering, and there are also good herbalists in the Philippines who have found herbal agents that can deal with the COVID syndrome. And this is more intriguing. That none other than our DOST, Department of Science and Technology, did a study on virgin coconut oil, and they came to the conclusion that it's effective.
I remember
but
that.
it was not endorsed by the Department of Health.
Hinold na naman.
So for me, it's clear, but it's creating confusion. With the beginning, I was just questioning bakit parang confusing yung information. Then it became so clear to me something is really wrong here.
Yeah. And especially add to it the cancellation, the censorship of big tech like Facebook, Twitter at that time, and other platforms. Talagang it will not come out and it will not be a mainstream kasi ang nagiging mainstream lang whatever is advice from the WHO, the NHS at that time, and then DOH sa atin. But yung parang kailangan you just blindly follow kung ano yung sinasabi ng government natin at that time. And there were doctors that would like to express other opinions pero they were prevented to do that. And you mentioned yung freedom, di ba? That the right to choose your own treatment, the right to choose your own doctor, and the doctor would be able to prescribe as well because there's that patient and doctor confidentiality or that relationship. Pero bakit siya kaya natanggal during that time?
If you look back, before they call it COVID-19, they call it novel coronavirus.
Novel, which means new.
New. So if it's new, who knows the solution? Nobody really knows the solution.
Wala bang nakaka-experience?
Wala. Nobody. But these health authorities are posing themselves as if they know everything already. That's my big question
as
then.
if they know the end game. Para bang, okay, na-experience ko to, you should just take my word for it because I did this in the past. But nobody could claim that. Nobody in the world.
But they were imposing, they were saying this, the only protocol that should be followed, other things, you cannot do that. Yeah. Parang ganun, suppressing the other thing.
And we believe, Doc, that science is constantly evolves by questioning, testing, questioning, and testing.
That's how science goes, and also medical science.
Going back to ivermectin, I have my own personal experience, of course, as part and co-founder of the CDCPH at that time. People were like messaging us because we would hold Zoom meetings to thousands of people online because there was no venue to hold this kind of assemblies. And they would message me, ask for ivermectin. I would get it from you. I would get it from Doc Homer. We would get it from... We've been very creative during that pandemic. But the intent was to sincerely help people who were as confused and misinformed about these things. And marami tayong kwento nito. I have all the recibos in my phone, in my computer. People really documenting, narrating to us that, okay, pinasok nila yung ivermectin in the hospital. At that time, it was really bawal. Then they would say, from this oxygen level, the next after 2 doses, umakyat yung oxygen. A lot of people were really saying, ang laki ng utang na loob nila sa CDCPH. They would even call me Doc Ann. Sabi ko, hindi ko na kino-correct, Doc, kasi ang dami natin kinakausap at that time. Actually, I dropped all the things that I've been doing in my corporate, in my company, and just focus on this 2 years during that pandemic. And we were able to help thousands of people. You yourself was able to treat 8,000, 15,000 patients at that time because of this consultation online, not a person to person, not face to face, because yung clinic nga, going to the clinic was really hassle at that time. Walk through us the experience of handling patients online.
The 8,000 you were mentioning was just at a point in time like February 2021. So di ba hanggang 2024 pa yung pandemic, so mas marami pa talaga, no? So during the early times, the truth is, after I heard about the Monash University in Australia doing their research, they introduced the the isolated virus. They introduced ivermectin to viral isolates. And then they were so amazed that in 48 hours it was completely eliminated, no, eradicated. Many doctors in different parts of the world saw that, and they started using ivermectin on their patients. And there were already lots of studies they were doing, descriptive and trials even. And if I can remember right, the number went up to 36 clinical trials on random effects, and on mortality, it went up to 25 clinical trials with their conclusions. The conclusion on effects on mortality in terms of prophylaxis, kasi tatlong stage, prophylaxis, early treatment, and late treatment. When you do prophylaxis, the impact on mortality will be 96% reduction.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? So, to my thinking then, ibigay mo yung ivermectin sa lahat para ma-prevent, then
We could have saved
save 96%.
96%.
Oh,
Yeah.
di ba? I had the privilege to be interviewed in a congressional hearing, yeah. I presented in 30 minutes the 6 mechanisms of action of ivermectin. So in every stage, from viral entry, viral replication, to the hijacking of the nucleus, and then going out of the cell, and then causing cytokine storm, and even blood coagulation, all those. Every stage, ivermectin has a role to play. It will prevent all of those consequences. So I said, this will champion the pandemic. And then at the end, I proposed. I said, now, this is my proposal. I have my 8,000 patients where I have seen, at that time I was claiming 99%. I could have claimed 100% in terms of prevention. And I said, in 2 months' time, we will cut our case by 95%. If we just give every Filipino ivermectin, in 4 months' time, pandemic will be over. So it could be September 2021, tapos na sana ang pandemic.
Pero hindi tayo napakinggan sa Congress.
They never. So maybe they're laughing at me. But you know what? Come October 2021, India was having the Delta. That's the most virulent strain. People were dying from.
Yes.
Unlike the kind of death they're getting from Alpha, Beta, or Gamma. Delta was the really worst, no? So I had the chance to have a Zoom meeting with the doctors in India. And I said, you have lots of ivermectin. What are you using it for? And they said, we're using it for early treatment and late treatment. No, I suggest you use it for prevention because that's what we're doing in the Philippines. Give everyone ivermectin.
And they did.
Yes, one particular state, Uttar Pradesh. It's
Uttar
documented.
Pradesh.
The population is 240 million, double the population of the Philippines. They gave ivermectin. They were having 30,000 daily new case at that time. And they gave ivermectin after 2 weeks, plummeted so low, almost just tens, no? Or not really zero, but not even hundreds
But very
a day.
low.
Oo. So that proved what I was saying. And even then, it's not only India. There was a situation in Peru when they gave it in just 2 months' time, nag-plummet yung case nila. But then, nagkaroon ng change. Again, politics came in, nagpalit ng leaders, they banned ivermectin, then went up again. Oh. So maraming ganyan eh. Oh,
This world data were present at that time.
Yes.
But again, suppressed. Hindi mo makikita sa social media, hindi mo makikita sa mainstream news. Nobody would announce these kind of things before. Kasi they would even claim, to my point a while ago when we were giving ivermectin to really sick patients, nasa ICU na, tapos the 2 days out na sila because of that. We, of course, at that time, we were trying to discourage them from the intubation because yun nga nakita rin natin, the statistics, mas madaming namamatay because of that intubation. Hindi naman kasi ganon ka-guided yung, or the framework that works around that intubation, malaki rin yung decline of the patient's health. Pero ang sasabihin nila, kasi anecdotal yan. What's your comment pag sinasabihan tayo, anecdotal daw yung mga incidents na nakaka-cure tayo, nakaka-treat ng patients?
Yes, that's true. The doctor will tell, may evidence ka ba? Is it evidence-based? That's their usual motto or slogan. And then, my question is, this is a state of emergency. My calls, I can remember, I can only sleep maybe 30 minutes a day.
Because of all
so
the
many
calls.
calls and so many people are asking for help. Is there time to do clinical trials? No. Now, say anecdotal yan? Anecdotal, true. But if there is a preponderance of anecdotes, and it's a positive outcome that they're getting from what you're giving them, that's more than enough of an evidence to use it, di ba? When there's no scope to make a clinical trial, a controlled trial, and you have already empirical experiences, experiences on empirical use of the ivermectin, or even hydroxychloroquine, whatever products, and you're getting good results. So you should take it even higher than an evidence. It's much more than a clinical trial evidence, no, or a controlled trial evidence. It's a preponderance of anecdotes that is the best evidence in a case of a pandemic. That's the highest form of evidence you can get, even higher than a clinical
especially
trial. In a state of emergency.
Yes. Yung suppression na to ng mga doctors, napaka-konti natin, hindi ako doktor, napaka-konti nyo, napaka-konti ng talagang nag-express na itong ganitong klaseng opinion during the pandemic. Ramdam na ramdam natin yung suppression even among your peers sa mga ibang medical doctors. And even those in other countries, ganun din yung experience nila. There are these frontline doctors of America. Yung iba nga doon na invite natin dito, remember, during the hearing that you were talking about a while ago, meron tayong nag-guest from
Dr. Pierre Corey was there.
Dr. Pierre Corey was there. We thought at that time, okay, may hope kasi at least mayroong ibang boses na mapapakinggan yung Congress natin. But then again, hindi rin. We weren't successful after, bringing him over, talking to the other medical doctors also here. Hindi rin tayo naging successful.
You know why? May ibang boses din silang pakikinggan.
May ibang boses na mas malakas siguro yung boses. At may ibang agenda na tinatawag. So, if another pandemic happened today or tomorrow, would doctors be freer to question the policy today? Kasi medyo kaya na natin pag-usapan to. This is a no-no before. We cannot even have this kind of podcast or ability to tell other people. Medyo naka-private Zoom lang tayo, naka-cancel tayo, 20 times yata tayong nababa na take down yung page natin, yung website natin. But today we can see, and I think this is thanks to the acquisition of Elon Musk of Twitter na today is X. Doon kasi tinanggal niya yung cancellation, and we could see that after the Biden administration, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook has admitted that, the government, the US government actually required them to suppress this kind of information. Ngayon kaya, dadami kaya kayo, Doc?
Yeah, your question, Anne, is what if there's going to be another pandemic? Diba?
Yes.
Will it be a different thing na maging... we hope. We want to hope, for that. But sadly, I forgot who said that. We learn from history that we never learn from history. Bakit? Ba't ko sinasabi? Actually, hindi aware mga tao, may pandemic pa rin ngayon eh. Mas matinding pandemic ang nangyari. There is an upsurge of cancer, of autoimmune disorders. Ang daming nangyari. All of these are the vaccine injuries. And it's very sad, a very pathetic situation. The doctors are even cognizant that this is due to the vaccine. Every day, I'm seeing in my clinic at least 3 new very severe cases of cancer. I'm not an oncologist. I've been telling them from the start, it's not my line. But they come to me looking for alternative treatment for their cancers. Because I'm in active clinical practice today, I'm seeing the whole picture. Nakakalungkot. Patients are crying. Relatives are crying. Literally crying. Shit. Napapayak din ako kasi ganito ang shock sa akin. Both my parents died from cancer. So, even the doctors, during our training, our grooming as doctors, during our education, medical education, we were exposed to cancer patients. We know how the vicissitudes, the difficulties these patients are undergoing. And yung odds ng magkaroon sila ng cure is very, very meager. At saka yung pain, yung na-drain ng finances nila, everything, emotionally, economically, everything. Ganong kasama ng cancer. Bakit papayagan ninyong bakunahan ng mga tao na maliwanag na carcinogenic? Ngayon, nangyari na. Ito, nakikita na natin yung cancer.
But again, that's another suppression of information,
Hindi
Doc.
pa rin na
Is that a denial from the patients themselves kasi they don't wanna blame it on vaccine? Is it also another form of suppression of the government or any organization for this matter?
Initially, the parents are not aware what's happening. If I tell them, it's already established by Dr. Peter McCullough. He said it in a senatorial hearing recently. He said, patient presenting with cancer today and has a history of COVID vaccination, the likelihood it's coming from the factor that the vaccine has exerted is 79.2%. So I'll tell that to my patient. Ay, kaya pala, ganun sagot nila. Then parang sagot nila, now we learned, galing talaga pala sa vaccine. na-realize. And then they accept it right away. Kasi alam nila, then they will start telling me stories. Kaya pala, nung simula ako nabakunahan, ganito na naramdaman ko. Yan. Then they will start telling, marirecall nila, kaya pala yung kapitbahay ko nung nabakunahan, naging ganyan. Yung relative ko, ganyan. So, ibig sabihin, talagang hindi aware mga tao. Nobody is speaking about, nobody is revealing it or showing it, or it's not
Or yung
being
kulang yung
suppressed,
big
maybe.
picture data, Doc, na I mean tayo, no, na ilan sa mga kasama natin na would always question everything because we want to see all points, all information, all angles. What's causing all of these things? Especially yung data natin prior to pandemic, yung death rate natin at a certain point, tumaas masyado. We have excess deaths after the vaccine. And people they tend to not correlate it at all. And they would tell us na anti-vaxxer tayo. Ang daming bakuna ko, ang dami kong bakuna sa katawan ko, mga anak ko lahat fully vaccinated. Pero ito lang talaga yung what made me really stop, pause, and really think hard. Mayroon ba tayong evidence? May 10 years na ba to, 15 years of study na walang magiging side effects sa fertility ng mga babae, ng mga tao, na children na healthy pero inoculated sila, older people. Wala ba talaga siyang magiging effect? Wala man tayong basis na 10-year history of that because again, emergency nga. We were talking about that a while ago na bakit nga ba na-suppress to? Bakit na-suppress ang hydroxychloroquine? Bakit na-suppress ang ivermectin or any prophylaxis for that matter? And we, because of the conclusion, and this is also on record in the senatorial hearing in the US, that exposing the hundreds of peer-reviewed studies about this prophylaxis would disable the emergency use authority of the vaccine. Anong masasabi mo, Doc?
If any medical product, no, or any pharmaceutical product or a biological product that has to be given to any patient, they need to seek an FDA approval. Usual way to do it is get a certificate of product registration. So all the vaccines goes through that process. They will have to require test at least 8 years for a vaccine to be released after it has proven it is safe and effective. But then this COVID vaccine, there's not 8 years, just a handful of months. They want to get released. So the only way it can be legally rolled out or released and approved by FDA is through emergency use authorization on the basis of emergency, not on certificate of product registration. So emergency use authorization is based on the premise that there is not a single medicine that is safe and effective. And if there's none, then FDA can issue the EUA, the emergency authorization. And that's what they did. But there were lots of safe and effective. So they have to demonize or they have to malign all those good medicines that were available, such as hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin C, virgin coconut oil, quercetin, and so many other things.
So dapat wala on record?
Dapat wala.
Officially, para ma-release yung EUA?
Legally, yeah.
Okay.
Kasi kung in-release nila yun at meron, they can be held liable legally. Pwede silang i-demanda, di ba?
And in that EUA, the rollout of the vaccines, meron pang coverage yung mga pharmaceuticals that they are immune against lawsuits.
They cannot be legally liable because they did it in the right way. It's a state of emergency, walang ibang solusyon ito. Hindi, ang totoo, hindi lang naman yan solusyon, meron ng available na mas safe solution. Despite the possibility that it is a carcinogenic, can be a carcinogenic substance. Kasi lahat ng medicine, every medicine, bago yan i-CPR, tinitingnan yung teratogenicity and carcinogenicity niyan. Pag sinabing carcinogenicity, magkukos ba yung cancer? Kaya kailangan matagal na panahon Teratogenicity, magkukos ba yan ng problema sa magiging offspring nung binigyan? So yan, requirement yan sa bago ilabas ang isang medicine and tell that it is safe and effective. Hindi nga pwedeng gawin. Emergency nga. So, yun ang justification. Lalabas namin to emergency. Ito lang magtitigil ng pandemic. So, it's false basis. It's a wrong basis to do that. Pero ginawa nila para maging legal, sasabihin lang, hindi effective si ivermectin, hindi effective. Despite all the trial, hindi lang studies yan, hindi lang clinical trials, hindi lang controlled clinical trials. Mayroon pa yung tinatawag na meta-analysis. Combine mo lahat yung maliliit na trials din. You come up with an analysis of that. And nalulungkot ako, meron ng WHO meta-analysis noon Nilis yun, si Dr. Andy Hill. So, Pag-release noon, after barely 1 month, niretract. Sinabi, naglabas sila ng panibagong mali daw.
Meron din mga na-publish sa Lancet, tas after some time, itatanggalin nila, di ba?
Yeah, that
talagang
happened.
crazy.
So we were shocked. Kasi yung mga publications na yan, medical publications from PubMed, parang Bible yan sa sa mga doktor
The PubMed.
Oo. Lahat ng napapublish doon sa mga renowned journals. Parang biblical truth yan sa mga doctors. Pero this time, dito natin sa pandemic, nire-retract, nagbabago.
Ini-edit.
Never happened before So, doon ko nakita, marami rin palang kalokohan.
Kaya yun ang hindi ko maintindihan sa mga tao. Na instead of being open and being curious and take the courage to question, ang nangyayari, so much noise and debate in the social media accusing people, doctors, people like us, that we are anti-vax. We are endangering the lives and health of the people, where we are just so sincere to really help, and we just happen to see all fronts na bakit may mga gantong medical suppression? Bakit yung mga lisensya tatanggalin because of this? Bakit may mga retraction, edit of published data already in these journals? What can you say about that? Pagka sinasabihan, anti-vax daw tayo.
Okay. CDCPH has always been clear in saying hindi tayo anti-vaxxers. Kasi totoo naman. Kaya nga kung bibigyan tayo ng ganong impression, ayon mag-agad sa ating ibang doktor ang mga doktor sa CDCPH, hindi naman talaga anti-vaxxers. We know the benefits that humanity as a whole has benefited from certain vaccines. Especially, I'll mention yung tuberculosis, di ba? May BCG, yung DPT, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, yung oral polio. Those basic immunizations really are helpful. Pero these new ones like yung mga influenza, mga pneumonia, mga ganyan, these are imperfect vaccines. Why? Because these viruses, every year, they mutate. So, you're vaccinating the people for what strain that was the past years. Iba na yung strain ngayon. So, hindi pwedeng imperfect vaccine. So, it will generate money for the big pharma, but it will not really help the health of people. Rather, it will even endure cause immune dysfunction. Masyadong nabubugbog yung immune system kung you're vaccinating them too much. Especially coronavirus. Itong coronavirus na ito, matagal na nila. It's been a long time they've been trying to look for a vaccine for corona. The coronavirus is mutating, no? About 16% of the human population every year is having coronavirus in the form of common colds. So they wanted to have that vaccine. Hindi sila makagawa Suddenly, you're having this COVID-19 vaccine. Come on. Pero nung sinabi nilang, this is different, this is mRNA. So ang mga doctor, parang, eto akin lang, no? Is it because of the high technology that you are not familiar with that made you just accept it openly and then administer it to your patient? I won't do that.
Yung what you don't know won't hurt you.
Yeah, that's
diba?
yeah, parang
sabi na ganun, hindi kasi nila naintindihan yung technology, kaya sige, let's just trust.
They believe that the big pharma or the pharmaceutical research is always on the right direction, and is always helpful, no? But even as early as 2011 or even earlier than, I've seen many corruptions by the big pharma. For example, if I can inject, no, they have distorted the concept on cholesterol to give way to the sale of cholesterol-lowering drugs, the statins. To the point that they were claiming, ito lang magpe-prevent ng heart attack and stroke. But tell me, bumababa ang incidence ng heart attack. Still number 1 ng stroke. Still number 3 killer in Philippines and other countries.
Yeah, totoo yun, Doc, no? Yung kung
It's
effective
really,
man to, dapat wala nang nag-heart attack at wala nang mga stroke.
Hindi It has become the highest selling medicine as a class of the study from 2000 until last year.
Kasi kung healthy yung population, wala na yatang pagkakaperahan, Doc. Baka ganun
Yeah. Baka pagkalito sa atin, Big Pharma. Anyway, I'm just saying what I'm observing with my patients and what I have seen in scientific studies, no? And maybe I'm just a few among doctors who believe in this way, but I can stand on I have my scientific base for that, what I'm claiming. And if you don't agree, if any doctors are listening, you don't agree, then let's sit down and discuss. I'm ready for an open discussion.
Yeah.
Because we have to. You know why? We're doctors, anong sinumpaan natin? First of all, do not do harm. Kaya kong sabihin yung ginagawa niyo, you're harming your patients. And then tell me if I'm harming patients, I will listen to you. And prove it, I will follow. Pero if I be able to show it to you that you're harming your pain, dapat you sumunod naman kayo, di ba? Medicine should be like that. Gone are the days when we have round table conferences, we have clinical pathology conference. Now, ewan ko kung meron pa niyan sa mga schools, sa mga university. I hope there is still. Yan ang traditional how medicine has developed. Sana ganun pa rin.
And since, of course, nag-evolve di ba? Yung health ng tao, science, discoveries, technologies. Yun yung ina-advocate ng CDC-PH before that na hindi i-prevent yung open discourse. That we will have this healthy discussion, doctors versus doctors, patients and doctors. And pag-usapan yung mga ganito, hindi yung i-impose na lang basta and we just follow blindly. So, I think yung premise natin, ultimately, yung decision, the medical decision should rest on the patient and the patient's relationship with the doctor. Ano yung sa palagay nyo, Doc? Lalo na pag pinag-usapan yung informed consent. Ano ba yung mga nawala during that time? We were fighting against coercion, against basic human rights. What can you say about?
So, to accomplish an informed consent, there are certain elements. Firstly, the patient has known what you're giving, why are you giving it, what are the consequences if you give it, what are the benefits why you're giving it. And then, comes in, magko-consent ba siya? Ang nangyari, you are not informing the patient, you're getting their consent without their real consent. Hindi naman talaga nila gusto, hindi lang sila makakabiyahe, hindi lang sila makakatrabaho. Kasi pipilitan na magpipirma ng consent. That's not real informed consent,
Ang
diba?
tawag natin doon, coercion.
Yeah,
Tama?
they were coerced.
Yeah.
They were, meron pang isang term forced into, no?
So, yung sinasabi mong dapat may information. Kasi walang informed consent. Walang mako-consent kung walang information. Kaya siya informed consent. However, yung mga nakikita natin na vaccines before na dun sa kanilang, di ba typically meron tong nakalagay na, what you call that piece of paper where you see all the side effects, caution, product information.
Yes.
In that product information, blank siya. So, anong pwedeng basahin ng tao?
Usually, product information sa access ng doctors yan Hindi naman maintindihan din ng pasyente yan, Oo, I don't know if the doctors who were administering the vaccines
Have actually read
the product information.
So, hindi rin natin alam.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
And we see this in a lot of social media platforms. Doctors that got jailed before because meron nag-inject ng saline because of his own personal study about vaccines, the emergency vaccine at that time, na he wanted to save the patients from any untoward side effects. So, nag-administer siya and he served the sentence. But now, seems to have this type of doctors vindicated because of the latest discovery or the latest, not discovery, but information, the exposure of these latest information about the emergency vaccine. In our lifetime, do you think the organizations like WHO, sa atin yung local DOH natin, have we really learned our lesson?
Mahirap sagutin yan, pero yun nga, sabi ko nga kanina, I was quoting from another quotation. We learn it from history that we never learn from history. So I don't think we have learned our history from the history. No? Kasi sinabi ko nga, the worst vaccine tragedy that ever happened in the whole world took place in the Philippines. Dengbaksha tragedy of 2016. They vaccinated 700,000 children, Metro Manila and Cebu. After a few months, 600 of them died. Around 600, more than 600. And they look into, maganda naman, inimbestigahan nila What is in those 600 children who died that made a difference? Yung iba naman, di naman namatay. Meron silang previous exposure sa dengue. Yun ang na-discover nila. So it caused what you call an immune-mitigated enhancement. So my question then was, ang mga tao may expose sa COVID, sinabi ng mga expert, 80% will be asymptomatic. And then right after, they will be developing natural immunity. And then why are you going to introduce an artificial immunity through the vaccine? This will cause the same thing. And true to my expectation, really did cause the same thing, even worse. Kasi hindi lang naman yung immune-mitigated enhancement nang nangyari. Nagkaroon dyan ng myocarditis sa kanyang patients. Nagkaroon dyan ng mga blood clots. Nagkaroon
sudden death.
Ang daming lumabas. Tapos yung long-term pa, nandyan na yung cancer, autoimmune disorders, immune deficiency.
Na lahat to, Doc, wala prior to the COVID vaccine. Walang namang turbo cancer na sinasabi. Wala namang sudden death. Walang mga unexplained death na at 30 plus years old. athletes, very healthy, suddenly gone. Doc, 5 years from now, what do you think history will say we got terribly wrong? What's that one thing, in your opinion?
I hope that they will realize that the things that are taking place and will take place in the next 5 years is really something that can be referred to what they did during the vaccination. I hope they realize that. If they do, then they will certainly rectify what they have done. No? I mean, won't repeat it again. But as I said, we learn from history. We never learn from history.
To me, as a ordinary citizen, I think for me, what we got terribly wrong is the suppression of information. Maraming nagkagalit na magkakapatid, magkakapamilya, magkakaibigan. Nagkaroon ng huge division about this subject matter na ito would believe this thing, ikaw hindi. But magiging attack siya to each other na you're attacking my health. You are endangering me. I remember, Doc, meron kang nilabas na book before. Could we show that?
Is it?
That's 2020 pa, no?
December 1, 2020. Yeah. It's called, the title is Freedom from COVID-19 Now, Prevention and Cure at Hand.
That, in fact, meron prevention and may cure at that time.
I was mentioning here, there is vitamin C, there is chloroquine, and now there's ivermectin. So it's at hand. It's just a matter of utilizing it and giving the benefit to everyone. And then the pandemic will soon be over without the need for a vaccine. That's the whole idea. And I made it so short, just five chapters. The fifth one is aiming for total freedom. Kasi we were made captives of the idea na masyadong nakakatakot tong pandemic nito, mamamatay ang milyon-milyon, no? So you just have to get vaccinated. Hindi yun ang hindi lang yung viral problem, yung psychological din. Dapat we have to be free from all those.
Yes, because fear was made to be a vehicle for people to obey, for people to be forced to obey. And that was really a very terrible part of our history that we hope will not happen again. Doc, your parting words to our viewers about this, should it happen again?
I hope this tragedy that we had will never happen again, no? Our well-being. But they are aiming for other things. Their business, I won't mention it, no? Kung ano man ang aim nila. Pero kagaya ngayon sa gobyerno, tinatanong nila, bakit ka nandiyan sa posisyon yan? Puro corruption kayo dyan. Sa medicine, ganun din pala With the doctors listening, I was once like every other doctor, no? I never knew ang laki-laki pa ng corruption na nangyayari sa medisina. Kawawa mga pasyente natin. Nangako tayo hindi naman para sa para kung saan kundi para sa mga pasyente natin no. So let's fulfill what we vowed for, the welfare of our patient, the well-being of our patient. And to do that, we have to be critical in whatever interventions we're going to give our patients. Mag-ingat tayo anong gamot, anong bakuna, ano ba yung dapat nating ipapayo sa mga pasyente. Of course, I know, I salute the medical profession. Magagaling talaga maraming magaling, mga surgeons, they're really very good, they're brilliant doctors. Pero nagkulang tayo in analyzing, meron pala nagdidikta sa atin in terms of therapeutics. Diyan tayo nagkamali. Nagkulangan tayo. Hindi natin alam na biktima tayo ng nagdidikta sa atin ano ba ang tamang therapeutics. Kaya tayo, ganito ang nangyari. At maging cognizant tayo. Ang dami mga doctors ngayon nalilito, bakit ganito ang nangyari sa mga sakit ng mga tao ngayon. Hindi i-factor in ninyo yung vaccine. The possibility is caused by vaccine. You will be enlightened so much. Makita nyo, ganun pala, maintindihan natin bakit ganun na naging resulta. So, I can discuss it in scientific ways, pero our audience is not only doctors. So anyways, for the other audience, for the general audience, ang parting words ko, our health is very important. It's our vehicle while we are living here to serve our Creator, to serve our fellow men, our family. Ingatan natin ang health natin. No? Priority 4. Kung priority natin yung relationship natin kay God. Number 1, number 2 sa family, number 3 sa hanap buhay. Pang-apat natin sana yung health. And maganda nga ngayon ang information is available everywhere. Pero syempre, available, marami ring lies dyan. So you have to screen everything. But then, kung when it comes to your health, analyze ninyo, i-test ninyo before, di ba? Maraming basta benta-benta kung ano-anong produkto. No, nasasayang lang pera natin kung hindi pala tama. Marami rin nagsisinungaling. Anyway, meron namang nagsasabi ng totoo. So, it is for us to be wiser enough para ma-determine natin ano ba talaga nag-benefit sa health ko. Yun lang.
Thank you, Doc. And for our bosses, I would have 2 words for you. One is not 2 words but 2 phrases. Question everything and use your critical thinking. Kasi when it comes to this kind of emergency situations where things are very uncertain, doubtful, when we are in doubt, I think we only have ourselves, our wisdom, our knowledge to rely on. Thank you, Dr. Allan Landrito, for your time and for the generosity of information that you shared to our bosses. Dito sa Boses, ang boss, may bosses.
Ay, boses.